Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome to Navigating the Unknown. I'm Andrea Stern of Stern Rep and Ask Stern Rep, and I'm very honored to be doing this with APA LA, as it's an organization I truly believe in, which is what I like to do. So to represent APA LA, we have board member and Los Angeles photo illustrator, Hugh Kretschmer. Kretschmer.
Yes.
I must, well, anyway, I want to say that wrong somehow, but I don't. Okay, joining me on these webinars is always a board member, and it's going to be Hugh. And today we have our special guest photographer, Jeremy Coert, joining us from Nashville. Hi,
Thank
Jeremy.
you. Good to be here. Appreciate y'all having me.
So let's turn to Hugh first. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, Andrea. APA is a big fan of your Instagram, Ask Stern Reps. And this has been a great way to partner in our efforts to build a community in our industry. So thank you very much, especially during these tepid times with COVID-19. I've been a board member for about 2.5 years, and I'm so happy to be part of this organization. So thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. So I'm going to introduce Jeremy. You probably all know of him, but let me say this anyway. I am so thrilled to have you with us this week, Jeremy Coert. Jeremy is an award-winning celebrity musician, portraiture photographer, artist, and entrepreneur whose goal in life is to use his creative platform to inspire and help others. Named the most influential photographer on the internet by Huffington Post, Forbes, and Yahoo in 2014, Jeremy has published 4 books and has presented at TEDx, the United Nations, and creative conferences across the country. And he has 152,000 followers on Instagram. Go, Jeremy. So hi, Jeremy.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We have a lot to ask you today, but I just want to say thank you for doing this, because right now we need examples. We're in this space, all of us in the photography industry. We need examples to show options of how we can deal with this and what we can do right now. So I mean, you have had a 15-year career of successful photography, and you've naturally merged it into what is needed right now. And the qualities I see in you are exactly what photographers need to figure out to stay on top of their business. So thank you for doing this with us.
Of course, yeah. Lots of thoughts. I'm excited. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Hugh, will you begin by looking at Jeremy's overview on his website? Can you screen share that for us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not nerve-wracking at all. I'm actually in the process of completely redoing my website, but go ahead.
Oh, may I ask why? Why are you doing that?
Oh gosh, that's a whole different conversation itself.
Yeah. Do you just not like it, or does it not represent you?
No, it's fine. It does the job it needs to do, but I have a whole new quirky vision, if you will, for where I'm headed in my career and what I want my brand to look like, and so yeah. But
branding seems to be your thing. I mean, even at your C University, you're teaching, what's it called? Branding. I have it in my notes, but.
Well, I was a graphic designer for 7 years full-time before doing photography. So I definitely come from a design background.
Right. Hugh, are you able to get that?
We need to enable it. So Patty, if you can enable the screen share, I'd appreciate it.
Well, until we do, I do notice something on your website. When I go there, a new image comes up at the beginning. Is that on purpose? Is that something you do?
Yeah, I believe the entire page refreshes and reorders anytime somebody.
There we go.
Yeah, I just like the idea of making it seem like it's brand new every time you come to the page.
Very smart. I have not heard of someone doing that. Very smart. And I also see that all these images have your heart it feels like heartfelt images. Is that one of your brands or your style that you put out there?
You know, I'm always changing what I showcase on here. I'm ultimately very experimental in my lighting, and I like to play with weird ideas. And so I'm trying to showcase a lot of that here, trying to showcase that I can do clean and beauty light, but I really like to live in the experimental, you know, slow shutter speeds, weird colors, weird projection on the
Yeah,
face.
you mix it up. I love that. You mix it up, but yet it's still there. Hugh, will you go to the under ideas, the pandemic portraits love transported? That is something I really want to talk about because it's so relevant to today. You're known for your celebrity and musician portraiture, all of that. And how did you parlay your work style into what is so needed by where our world is right now? So if you could explain this.
Well, yeah, the first week of COVID, like many, I had I think 4 months of gigs just disappear. You know, speaking gigs, photo shoots, like my income just vanished. And so I spent about a week really depressed like everybody else. And then I started to see photographers doing front porch photo shoots or FaceTime photo shoots, and I thought that was cool. But I was like, okay, but how do you make money? Like, no one's gonna pay for just a FaceTime photo shoot, or maybe they will. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I work, as I was telling you before, I work in the studio by myself. So I'm already quarantined, and in my studio, I have these really high-end projectors from Canon that I shoot with all the time. I love working with projection, so I had the idea to use my projectors to project people onto a painted canvas.
How did
Um,
you get each background is unique and different. Can you say how you did that, or is that?
yeah, no, I can. But anyway, I had the idea to like do virtual photo shoots via projection onto this canvas and charge money for it. And
Mhm.
so the way I'm getting all those textures is that I'm actually double projecting over the same surface with two identical projectors. One's mounted in the ceiling, one is mounted on the like waist level, and one projector is projecting my iPad, which has open a program called Procreate, which is like Photoshop. Now I'm actually using Adobe Fresco, but within Procreate, I'm hiding and revealing all these layers that have like Polaroid textures and colors and scratches and scribbles and frames that I've downloaded, just weird stuff, so that each portrait can look different. So none of these are edited or photoshopped after the fact. These are actual
Wow.
photographs of a canvas. And
Hmm.
I ended up doing, in April alone, I ended up doing 960 photo shoots in 31 countries and all
Wow.
50 American states. And every single one of those photo shoots was a paid gig. You know, these were all paid.
Right.
And so yeah, I completely reinvented my business and was blown away. If you'd have told me in February that you could make a living doing virtual photo shoots, I would have never believed you. But a month later, I dove in and figured it out. So
My favorite thing, and I want to get to the questions, is how you are such a forward thinker. And this is just one of the many examples of what you can take with what we have today, use what you got, your skills, and create work for yourself. I mean, I always see everyone as a photographer is an artist. Do you guys agree that, because that's my theory, you're all artists.
Yep.
So I want to talk more about art. Hugh, do you want to,
Yeah,
you
I
talked
mean,
about a question you had about
my
art.
big question about that is, I think I know what the answer is going to be, but does your art inform your business, or does your business inform your art?
my art informs my business for sure.
It's clear.
Yeah.
It's very clear, especially when you're talking about your experimentations and trying different things, and it's really clear to me. So, and it looks like a lot of fun. And it sounds like you have a lot of fun doing what you're doing. So,
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
which your art informs your business.
yes.
So what does that mean? Like you get an idea and you're like, then you think, okay, how can I get publicity for this? How can I make money from this?
Mhm.
Mm.
All of the above. I mean, I'm always ideas first. I chase ideas daily. I've already launched, and but the thing is, I get tired of my ideas really quickly. I hate them as soon as I love them. So I'm always pivoting and reinventing. But yeah, I'll come up with an idea, and I'm like, okay, is that going to pay my bills, or is that just a fun thing to pursue? So I'm always coming up with the idea first, and then figuring out how to monetize it and will it work. So yeah, there's business
Mhm.
behind every single idea, or else it feels like a waste of time. Like it has to provide in one way or another, unless it's just a pure humanitarian effort, which I do a lot of those too. But yeah, it's either one or the other.
I find that the trouble with that, with a lot of photographers, they don't know how to create new categories, do new things, new ideas, and keep it streamlined. Like their branding has to stay strong. How do you do that?
uh, I'm laughing because I've actually I'm about to launch a new brand that actually embraces the fact that I don't do that, that I'm
Hmm.
as scatterbrained and as ADD as they get, because I have such, one month I want to be speaking, the next month I want to be doing clean, photo shoots on all white. The next month I want to be playing with projectors and weird toys. The next month I just want to paint all the time. The next month I want to like be doing iPad digital illustrations of people. So I am truly I actually am jealous of those artists out there who have like one thing that they master, they nail it, and they do it forever. Because that would
Well,
be so much easier for me to.
I see it for you that you do market yourself as you. That is your branding, who you are, which keeps it streamlined.
Well,
Do you
that's.
feel like that's accurate for you?
I mean, I don't. I see myself as all over the place, but again, I'm trying to. I'm realizing that I'm always going to be this scatterbrain. So how do I just make it known that like this is I never know what I'm going to be doing, and neither you. And
But
like,
that's what I mean. Your branding is you.
yeah.
You're not trying to brand yourself as something else. You're saying who I am is what I'm branding.
Hmm.
You are your brand.
Yeah.
but
Do
That's
I
you
right.
also,
agree? Yeah.
I
Yeah, you?
just, I understand where you're coming from. You say scatterbrain, you have different interests, and you act on those. But I see a common thread in the work, and that I could look at two different examples or two different subjects that you do and find that common thread. So that comes through in your work. So even though it's different subjects, there's something that you have.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, a
Yeah.
signature underneath all that.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
Because you're staying true to you. I think that's why you're so successful. And like this 152,000 Instagram followers, how did that happen? How do you do this?
Well, first of all, I think that any large social media following is mostly smoke and mirrors. Like I know for a fact that 152,000 people are not following my post. I mean, it's a fun number to look at, but in the early days of Instagram, I was on it from the beginning. I mean, I was always an early adapter, and they actually used to feature me a lot in the early days. There used to be an Instagram blog that I was on, and so I don't know, I would just get like automatic followers somehow from them featuring me or recommending me. But then I actually took off. I mean, I think I took off 4 years from Instagram, like where I didn't use it at all
Hmm.
because I was building my own social network that actually was for a minute very successful. But that's a whole different discussion. So it took off a lot of time away from Instagram, and I so wish I had kept going because the colleagues that I have that were on it with me early in the days, they now have 2 million followers, 1.5 million followers, 700,000 followers. So my
Mhm.
believe it or not, my 152 actually seems to me to be very low, and I could
Hmm.
have done a lot better had I stayed consistent all this time.
Is that one of the important things? Stay consistent for social media?
Yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of different tactics, but I feel like, you know, my friend Lindsay Adler, she has over 300,000 followers, and that girl, she, every day there's a new post. She doesn't miss a day, and I'm like a lot of artists where my ego is all over the place. I'll go weeks where I think I suck and I won't post anything, and then I'll post for, you know, 2 weeks straight, and then I'll take another month
Mhm.
off, and then, you know, so my posting really goes with my confidence or lack thereof. But I think
God,
you,
I did not know that.
oh
You
yeah.
don't seem like that. That's not the, you know, the presence you have.
Oh no, very much. I'm like any other artist in the world who
Huh.
really struggles with confidence day to day. But I think you have to have an approach like Lindsay, where it's like, no matter what, this is a business, and I'm going to be posting something every single day, for sure.
So that's what you think photographers should do on Instagram? Post something every day.
I do, and I think their algorithms really pick up on that and reward consistency and using stories, using IG Live, taking full advantage of all the. And it's a lot. I mean, it's overwhelming for
Mhm.
anybody. It's overwhelming for me. Now I'm like, now I'm looking at really taking TikTok seriously, because I think TikTok
Hmm.
is the new place we have to be. And it's even more overwhelming because it's like a freaking video game that you really gotta like learn how to play.
Mm, mm.
And they're actually, believe it or not, there are some teenage kids I've been
Why do you, yeah.
there's some teenagers on TikTok that are photographers who already have like 4 million followers. It's insane. And all they're doing
Wow.
is like showing the process of taking the picture, then they show the final result, and it'll get, you know, tens of thousands of likes and comments. And I'm just like, what in the world? Like, this industry is changing before we even know there's a new thing happening. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's so hard to stay up with everything, but I do think it's so important. And my internet might be slow right now. Did it get weird?
It's
Hmm.
a little fuzzy,
It's a
but
little fuzzy. If I stop talking, Hugh, you talk.
I'll take
Jeremy,
over.
you talk. Um, well, successful brands for photographers. What do you think makes up a solid, successful brand? Can you summarize that, Jeremy?
Um, I just think the work comes first always, you know, the
Hmm.
work and the style always comes first. I mean, the other stuff uh, can follow, and you can have fancy portfolios and good logos and all that. But if your work sucks, then forget all that. You know, you gotta,
Well, what makes great work? Can you, is there a way to define it?
yeah. And by the way, you sent me questions. I actually prefer to not read them ahead of time because I like to give honest answers in the moment. And so you're like, why aren't you prepared for this? And it was on
No, no, that was like, that came out of my, yeah.
yeah, it's by design for me to just kind of answer off the cuff. I'm just thinking of my favorite photographers out there. You know, for me, it's Dan Winters, Frank Ockenfels, Art Streiber, gosh, Paolo Reversi. I don't even know if that's how you say his name. Tim Walker. You know, there's just a long, long list out there, and I don't even think of them having a brand. They're not worried about social media because they're long time established, you know, photographers. They don't have to worry about the things the rest of us do. But again, I think it's just consistency in your look and your vibe and your style, which is the $1 million question. Can you get to that point where you establish your thing, you know, which is so hard to do?
Hmm. Hmm. Hugh, how do you do that? You have a style, a strong style, and that's your
Well,
brand.
it's yes, it's the idea first. It's really the idea first. You know, and like Jeremy, it's like, you know, I get an idea and then I follow through with it, and that's where I go with it. And then one idea leads to another, and then that's the way it evolves. I too am my subjects are all over the place, but there's something underlying all that that is you know, something about me and my sensibilities and what I do. So it is for me the art first.
Mhm.
It's always been that way.
I do love that because I mean that is how you're going to be a successful photographer.
Mhm.
Your art first and who you are first. Everybody's going to have their own way. My whole thing lately on Ask Stern Rep has been think outside the box. We have to get more creative right now, and I feel like for me, I feel it in my belly. I can't represent everyone. I know when it feels right to me. So I assume when you guys say it's the idea, it just feels right sometimes,
Mhm.
right?
Which,
Right.
by the way, I'll be honest. Right now, I'm looking above because this is my monitor. Hugh, I'm just now seeing your work for the first time, and so she sent me the link, and I forgot to look. But man, your work is just insanely good. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
appreciate that very much.
It's
I There
beautiful.
is a question, if you're willing to answer it. How do you market those portraits, Jeremy?
Mm.
The
Because
virtual,
you're getting a lot of publicity, right? Like a lot.
yeah.
Newsweek, you said Newsweek, Forbes magazine.
Well, oddly enough, so Newsweek interviewed me, and they were so excited. They even like participated in the photo shoot. I've yet to see that released, and so I don't know. And then I've actually followed up twice. Hey, are you releasing this? And then with like super exclamation points and excitement, she said, "Yes, it's coming out." I'm like, but I still haven't seen it. But same thing with Forbes. I did an interview with them, but then I saw their main editor is doing a shoot tomorrow as part of my virtual shoot. So I'm just guessing both of these articles are still on their way. But I've been featured by Digital Trends already in Petapixel and a few other photography related. But the word of mouth, though, has certainly been crazy on social media. Just seeing people post their portraits. We do live broadcasts when I do the shoots so that the public can see the experience and see what happens. And so it's definitely been a
Live on Instagram.
live on Instagram,
Mhm.
Twitter, and Facebook. So yeah,
Simultaneously.
Wow.
simultaneously.
See,
Yeah.
Right.
that's what I mean about being creative to get your publicity, to get yourself out there. We
Mhm.
all have to find a new way right now. There's no like one way to do it. And I feel like you are such a forward thinker and um even for all your other things. You have a hotel coming out. Your book that you did. It's like how do you guys have a routine, both of you, that gets you to do these creative things? How do you push yourselves? It must be the hardest thing I think for a photographer to keep pushing. How do I do this? How do I get there? I mean, I guess I know because as a rep, I do it too. Anything you can suggest that works for you guys?
I'll let you go first, Hugh.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading a question from someone. I apologize.
That's okay. I mean, let me answer my own question because for me, going outside of my box is like doing this webinar. It's doing my Ask Stern Rep. It's not something I'm very comfortable. I rather, not be in front of people all the time. But anyway, that's I have to get creative and put who I am into other things.
Yeah, it's just, the whole self-branding thing, social media is such a necessary evil. Like people probably think I love it because I'm always using it, but I don't love it. I just understand it's part of the game. You just kind of have to. One of the things that I would encourage, like I've especially realized this recently, that I have to keep learning. Like learning really does lead to ideas and innovation, because as soon as, like, even yesterday I've been diving into this new Adobe program called Fresco for the iPad, and the more I'm learning Fresco, it's giving me more ideas for my virtual stuff, which is giving me more ideas for, like, the more you I've always, like, when I did launch my university, I said the more you learn technically, the more you can achieve creatively. And I really believe that, because I find that if I keep learning, I'm going to keep innovating. Like so many photographers have that um, vibe where they're like, I already know it all. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to go like back to school or learn anything new. I'm like, dude, you gotta like, there's new apps and new updates and new upgrades coming out every single day. You just go browse the app store. There's a million new iPhone apps that the kids are using that they're going to be kicking our butts in 3 years with. if you're not staying on top of stuff and learning, you're just going to get left behind.
So let me ask you this, when you have an idea, do you act on it immediately or do you let it gel in your head for a while? You know?
Yeah, I usually, I always write it down first. I run it by a few trusted sources first, who I know will be honest with me. Usually my wife is first. She most of the time tells me my ideas suck or, it's not going to work. But yeah, you gotta have those people that'll be honest with you. And then it all depends on like how big or small it is. If it's an idea for a shoot or something I know I can pull off, yeah, I'll run with it right away. But I had an idea for a hotel chain when I lived in Los Angeles, and the idea was so big that I spent 3 years saying no to it. It wasn't until 2015 that I decided to go for it. And so, yeah, it just depends on how big or small the idea is.
Okay.
You seem extremely motivated. Like, do you ever not get ideas? Do you ever burn out? Do you ever stop?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I definitely get burnout, like a lot of creatives. In fact, I would say 2015 through 17 were a bit of a no man's land for me. It wasn't super innovative or creative, or didn't have a lot of ideas. But then the last 2 years, I don't know why or what, but I've kicked back into being pretty productive with ideas and projects. And I'm now getting to a place where my goal is actually to live in a client-less world, like where I'm truly just doing my own public-facing projects, depending on social media for marketing, or build a world where it's okay if a client doesn't call all year long, and I just do my own
But
thing.
how would you make money?
Like doing what I just did. The virtual shoots were an incredibly profitable month. I actually built out a map. Let me look at it real quick of all the various things I'm doing. So I've learned this software called Crowdcast, which is like Zoom, but you can do paid projects at any price point. So you could do portfolio reviews, you could do website reviews, you could do general presentations or talks. You can invite your social media audience in to watch you edit a shoot, or you could invite them in to do a virtual workshop. Of course, there's teaching stuff you can do online. There's these virtual photo shoots I've been doing, paid photo shoots I've been doing in the studio, where I just do my own creative vibes where they don't get to pick. They're just coming in for my experience. And I've done, gosh, almost 1,000 in-person individual shoots over the last 2 years, where people do drive or fly or come into my studio for a 15-minute photo shoot. I only do them 15 minutes max, and I've done almost 1,000 of those. So yeah, I'm always,
How do you get the word out there for something like that?
again, just social media. And then when they post their portraits, their friends see those and they want to come in. And so word of mouth spreads very naturally through doing. And I used to hate the idea of ever offering that to the public. I used to think, shooting anybody in the public was lame, but then I realized, wait a minute, I get paid 100% up front. I choose the vibe. I choose the edit. I release it when I want to release it. I do whatever I want to the images. I own the images. And like, I realized, like, wait a minute, I have 1,000% control. Why wouldn't I do that? And so, I started doing that, and it turns out I loved it.
You seem like someone who doesn't listen to that voice in people's heads that is like, no, I can't do that. No, which actually reminds me of your book. But how do you hear your idea and make it happen? You're so motivated, you make it happen, you do it. I just wish all photographers were like that.
Yeah, I don't know where the self-motivation comes. I mean, I think a lot of it's just the pressure. I'm a dad, and got a wife and 4 kids, and, we have bills to pay, and, all that pressure. And I've got parents who are declining in health. I'll probably be taking care of them one day soon too. So I think that pressure to pay the bills and provide is a good thing for me. It certainly keeps me, my wheels churning, and like because the last thing I ever want to do is go just get a job somewhere. I couldn't do that. And
Mhm.
so how do I love working for myself, and I love being an artist and getting to create and come up with weird ideas and seeing if they're, profitable. And a lot of that, I think, too, comes from the idea as a kid. And I think a lot of artists will relate to this, that we're told, oh, you'll never be successful as a artist. You'll never be as successful as a painter or a photographer. So good luck with that. And so there's part of me that I think that likes sticking it to the man. Like, oh yeah, I'll show you that a
I'll show
photographer.
you.
Yeah, we photographers, we can do it. We can be successful. So
Here's a question, if you're willing to answer it. We all have been so on it to register our work all the time, which is time consuming and seems to be still important. Is that still relevant, and is Jeremy doing it?
register their work in what way?
I don't know.
Copyrights?
Perhaps.
Do you do that, Jeremy?
I don't do that. No. I
No.
mean, most of my client sheets are buyouts, and so I let the client deal with all that stuff.
But what about your
Yeah.
portraits, though, too? I mean, does your work get picked up? Do people using it illegally?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't really worry. I mean, most people hiring me for the personal shoots, they just want to cool Instagram content or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So
So when you get an idea, what do you do with it? Okay, you get your wife's approval and a few other people. And then what's step one?
by the domain name.
Mm.
Yeah. So like in January, I had an idea. I was really unsure of what I was going to do in December. Work was slow. Everything was slow. And I was like burnout. And so, but then I think it was January 4th or 5th of this year, I was like, ooh, I could launch a portrait business that is based on the Enneagram. Are y'all familiar with the Enneagram?
Yes, I read a book on that.
Yeah, it's a personality-based test like Myers-Briggs or whatever. But in Nashville, Enneagram is like all the rage. I mean,
Really?
everybody knows everybody's Enneagram number, and so Hugh, it's like you're 1 through a 9. 1 is the perfectionist, 2 is the helper, 3 is the achiever, 4 is the individualist, 5 is the I forget, 7 is the
But
enthusiast, 8 is the
how do
challenger.
how does this
So
work? Your idea,
So I had an
you
idea.
use that?
Yeah, I had an idea to launch a business called Enneagraph, which combines Enneagram with photograph. And I came up with 9 lighting styles where I would photograph people based on their personality traits. And so uh, there's actually a whole website for it and everything. So each 9, that literally 9 different styles. So the perfectionist was like clean white background, ring light, like really beautiful, perfect light. For the individualist, which is the romantic, the artist was like all my weird experimental stuff, still have shutter speeds. And the peacemaker, number 9, was like window light, soft and beautiful. The challenger, which is number 8, was like a orange background, kind of like moody, kind of your
I can
badass
I
lighting.
can see why you have to stay up on all the technical options,
Mhm.
and how so many of these ideas, I just want to bring it back to today a little bit, because photographers are kind of saying what do we do? What are our options? How do we deal with this? And why I was so drawn to talk to you, one of the reasons is because you have these ideas and you do this, you do that, you just did what you explained. How can we work that for today? I kind of know this answer, but how do all these ideas help a photographer figure out how to handle what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, photographers really need to look into Crowdcast. That software really changed what was possible for me. I started making income immediately through Crowdcast. And here's a big thing I learned that I think photographers can take away. I realized that even though I was doing these FaceTime photo shoots, the final product in a way is kind of awful, really. I mean, I'm at the mercy of bad internet connections, terrible web cameras that are fuzzy from pocket lint, who knows what else. Like, but I realized that people aren't really paying for an amazing photograph. All they care is about the experience of like doing it, getting dressed up, having a moment with their kids or whoever, and there's some cool photographer that's going to take their picture through the internet. The final result really doesn't matter. It's not really an issue for them. They just like the idea and the experience. So yeah, they'll pay $50. At first I did $10, they all sold out. Then I did $20, they all sold out. $30, they all sold out. $50, they all sold out.
Mm.
75, 100, 150, and they're still selling out.
Wow.
So I made easily over 40 grand in April alone, doing photo shoots through the internet. I mean, it's crazy. And again, I just think that, and I welcome any photographer to steal that model from me, because again, I just think their friends will pay whatever, $50, $20, for a quick, 5 to 10 minute shoot. It's just kind of fun. And granted, that's not a $5,000 or $10,000 client, but you're looking at, 10
It adds
minutes.
up.
It adds up so fast. And
Mhm.
so, but Crowdcast is how I did it, using their platform to charge money. And it's really cool because like every shoot I do now has 40 people. They all get in a queue in a green room, and my assistant is online in the green room. And the 40 people are watching the rest of the shoots, and they're waiting their line in turn, their turn in line.
Mhm.
And I just file through them. Each shoot is about 2 to 4 minutes, and I'm making $100 every 2 minutes during those photo shoots.
You know that part of you that has these ideas and comes up with this stuff. What would you say to photographers who can't really do what you're doing? Maybe they shoot product or they are dependent on clients. Is there any suggestion you'd have based on how you do this so regularly and you have ideas and you take on this and this? How can a photographer incorporate some of that no matter what they do?
Well, I think they have to be still flexing. I was looking at the portfolio yesterday of Justin Bettman, who's just killing it right now. He's was brilliant. He actually went into the ad agency world and became the client for a year or two, and now he's shooting still life stuff every day lately in his apartment, and they're just insane images, and it's almost like daily reminding all his clients that, hey, I'm here and I'm ready to work, but I'm killing it in the meantime. John Keatley is doing beautiful FaceTime portraits that look like his work. I don't know if he's charging for those or not. There's a fashion photographer, Alexi something. He has like 700,000 followers. He's doing FaceTime fashion photo shoots as well. Like no matter what you do, you just got to keep. I think clients are starting to like that was the biggest benefit of my virtual shoots is I've already shot 3 healthcare campaigns that are also virtual, like literally through the internet, shooting nurses and healthcare workers across the country for 2 major brands. Who was like, oh my gosh, he figured it out, let's hire him to do this for our company. And that wouldn't have happened had I not just kept practicing and putting stuff out
Mhm.
there, you
That's
know.
a really brilliant point. I think is photographers get ideas, show it, do it, show it, show the agency or client what you can do. Hugh, why are you laughing?
Because there's a great question that came in.
Oh, let's hear it. Bring
You
it.
want to hear it?
Sure.
The ideas you're sharing with us are all great. With all these amazing things you've come up with, how do you do it with 4 kids?
Ooh, that's good.
That is a good question. So my kids are ages 8 through 14, and 3 of them are very easy to raise and good kids. One of them is actually the hardest challenge I've faced in my lifetime. We adopted 2 children from Haiti, and adoption has its whole own set of challenges that, in my opinion, are much harder than biological children. So, I mean, I have my hands full, with parenting and life. And my wife works; she's a realtor, so she has a job. So, we're doing our best to juggle it. But you do the best. I always say you have to do your best one day at a time. And I'm usually choosing family every chance I can. But at the same time, I got to go to my studio every day to work at least 9-ish to 4-ish or 5-ish. A lot of the ideas do come at home and I'm on my laptop and try to do as much as I can. That's just all you can do is do the best you can because kids, especially right now with no teachers in school, I mean, my wife and I are having daily conversations about how hard it is and how do we do it better and how do we keep them on task and keep the house clean and all that stuff.
Do you go to the studio every day or the
Uh,
office?
every weekday I do, and
Mhm.
our 14 and 12-year-old, they do a lot of, they're super mature and dependable, so they do some babysitting. My wife works from home, so she's managing them at home during the workday while she works and I work, and she, helps with the schoolwork as well. So yeah, we're dual juggling for sure.
What do you guys do for self-care? I mean, do you
Self care,
self-care?
Mhm.
Well,
gosh.
what do you guys do do you go off with your wife alone? Do you take vacations? Do you?
I mean, self care is such a foreign thought, especially for my wife, because she doesn't get near enough time for self care. But yeah, I mean, we do go on normal amounts of vacation, once or twice a year, and like I said, 3 of our children are really great and mature and easy. And our fourth child is amazing too. Don't get me wrong; he has amazing days, but I just relate to the parents who have some really challenging times, with children, and we know how that can be. And so, but again, it's one day at a time. I do sacrifice a lot for my wife as well. I tell her, you go on that trip, and I'll stay home. I'll take care of the kids, and it's always a.
Mhm.
But she just knows that right now I'm kind of in the zone. I've got focus. I've got ideas. I'm trying to get them done, and her work is kind of slow right now. So, she's letting me hustle as hard as I can.
That's such an important point about being in the zone. And when you're in the zone, that's what you go for.
Hmm.
You really go for it. Do you keep yourself on a regiment? Like, this is the time you said the times that you go 9 to 4. Is that how you help yourself fuel the zone that you're in?
It's crazy that you asked that because just the other day, for the very first time in 15 years, I was looking at my calendar and I got really inspired because the calendar was dead empty. I mean, no flights, no coffee hangs, no business meetings, no nothing. And I just got really inspired by that because I'm always wanting more just time to create, time to do stuff. So I started, like, just as an exercise, I was like, what would it look like if I could design every single day for me,
Mhm.
like for my creative time? And I came up with, I'll actually read it to you. I came up with this plan, which is Monday morning, I do a personal fashion shoot, bring in 3 or 4 models, do all my weird stuff, and be down in a couple hours. Then I pick those, and the next day I do a live edit on social media where I charge a little bit of money, but anybody can join, like $5, $10 to come in and hang with me while I edit. My assistant, we work on retouching that day, and the next day I do a virtual shoot or a solo shoot, knock those out. So there's that one's actually being paid, making income. But then the fourth and fifth days is where I'm converting all that to. I have 2 interns that'll be printing for me, and then I'm going to go into fine art mode where I paint on the canvases and create all the fine art results from that. And then the intern gets all that ready to put on the website and sell those pieces. And so there's like all these different touch points of bringing in income, doing what I want to be doing. And then if a client
Mhm.
happens to call, let one of those days or one of those things go and do the client shoot.
I am so impressed. I feel
Yeah.
like you know who you are and then you can use that knowledge for your own fuel to your creativity. Does that sound right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm aiming for sure. But again, it's taken me a long time to, I've acted like most people do my whole career, where I just respond to the incoming request, the client shoots, at the business meetings, or the phone calls, and I'm just trying to react and keep all the balls in the air. But now I'm like, wow, with this empty calendar, now I can justify saying no to all that stuff, because I can look here and say, no, I actually am slammed, but it's being slammed with the stuff that I want to be doing and need to be creating, so that I can tell that random coffee hang that, you know what, I can't do it.
But the thing I find so fascinating is, yeah, you're being true to your art and you're practicing what you want to do, but you're monetizing that. That is beautiful. I
Yeah, that is.
love that. I'm learning so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mm.
thank you. No, it's no, I mean, now that I look at all this, if you quadruple what I'm trying to make a week, I mean, yeah, it could be a big business. And again, that's with no clients. And so it- technology is overwhelming, but if we can harness all this new stuff and things like Crowdcast, and you can build a great big business, very profitable business.
I feel like you have to enjoy what you do.
Hmm.
You agree?
For sure. Absolutely. There's no other way, because I've in my
Right.
in my world I've tried to fit my work to get a job and it never works out. Never worked out. So
Say
it's,
that again. You try to fit your work to get.
yeah, I try to fit my work to going after a client or a line of photography that I think will generate income, and that never works.
Hmm.
The exact opposite has always worked for me. Should be true to my heart, be true to my ideas, and then it'll come. So
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, and I see that in you,
Well,
Jeremy.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about right now, and what do you think of the industry as a whole right now? And Jeremy, you've kind of answered that as far as creating your own way. But what about the old way? Okay, the portraiture of celebrities. And what do you think of the industry? What's going to happen? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's all a big fat question mark. I mean, I don't. Who knows if things are ever going to return to the way they were? I doubt they will. Obviously, there's still going to be photo shoots in the future. There's always going to be a need for photography. But I don't know what that's going to look like. I do think it'll get harder for, uh, there'll be maybe fewer gigs or hard. There's just so many photographers trying to land the same clients, and so many more photographers. That's why I was telling my friends the other day, I was like, there's 100 of us, right? We'll say there's this one client that 100 of us are trying to get that one client's attention. That's not a great business model. But what if I could, as the one person, I could try to attract 100 social media followers? So like if I can get 100 people to pay me versus the one person to pay me, that 100 people are vying their attention. Like so I'm focused more on, the public social media, stuff, whatever that could be. That could be a million different things. And so if what I'm doing is cool enough and creative enough that happens to attract that one client, then great. But I think my days are done in terms of trying to live in the client world. But oddly enough, this year I've already done a bunch of physical photo shoots that did come from that idea. Did come from me just doing whatever the hell I want to do, and clients are responding to it. I like that weird, painterly thing you did, and I'm like, great,
Yeah.
and that's awesome. So
How do you stay in touch with clients? Because that's so important. I think they want the human connection right now. They want to see what you're doing. Do
you know,
you?
I'm the
Yeah.
worst at that. I'm like,
Huh.
on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 0. I just don't.
Wow.
I keep my head down, and I don't do any mailers. I don't do any marketing. I don't even try to like schedule meetings or portfolio reviews. I used to back in the day. And I'm not against it. I have so many things that I'm already trying to do that I don't feel like I'm a great marketer to clients.
Well,
Yeah.
I gotta disagree with you because you do social media. So
Mhm.
you are putting it out there. It is the new way of
Yeah,
marketing yourself. You're
that's it.
putting yourself out there. You are in touch with them through that way.
Yeah.
I
And that
didn't
works
notice.
for you.
I didn't notice you don't have an agent. Is that right? Or do you?
Well, there's a local agency that I've been kind of working with just as of recent, called Grayland Reps. But yeah, that's just something we're kind of. I had an agent from 2005 to around 2012, and then I've gone the last 7 years or so without one.
Good.
Yeah.
I see our time kind of winding down here, so I want to wrap up our questions. There's one thing about your book that I want to say. You talk about not being in fear, but living through your purpose. And do you feel like that has been what's made your career so successful?
By accident, yes. I didn't really know what I was doing all these years, but in hindsight, I've kind of realized, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like everything has had, like I was telling you the other day, I came up with a mission statement, and my mission is to explore the intersection of creativity and empathy. Like, how can I use creative ideas to help people? So I've done a lot of humanitarian projects and a lot of speaking and a lot of teaching, and I've realized in hindsight that that was kind of the common thread in everything I do.
I love that. I do talk about having a plan, a master plan, and staying on a path right now instead of every day in this weird place we're in, which is so unfamiliar and crazy feeling, to wake up and be like, what do I do? What's my plan? Instead, have a master plan
Mhm.
and you stay on it, which totally reminds me of what you're saying. And yours is your purpose. And you've done so many. Check out on Jeremy's website all these ideas. Incredible what you've created and given to this world. And I could just tell from everything you're saying, you talk about not really doing your marketing, but you are. You are your marketing.
Well, thank you. That
You
means a
found
lot.
your way, very proactive.
I just meant all the old traditional,
Mhm.
send out mailers, schedule so many meetings a month. Like that's the stuff that it's never come supernatural to me. But social media is certainly a natural extension of what I do.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
You've
clear.
used it you've used it right. I think you're a great example of social media and how it can work for you.
Well, cool. Thank you.
Do you do Insta stories every day?
No, again, I go in waves. I do think people should be doing them every day. Because I've got one buddy who has, he's not a photographer, but he has like 30,000 followers, and he'll have almost 30,000 people watch his stories. Like he's getting near
Mhm.
100% engagement, which is just mind blowing to me. I don't get anywhere near that. I don't even get probably 10% engagement. And so, but it's because he's been doing that every day for years. Like whatever Instagram's algorithm is, he has like trained it to open up to his followers. And so, you got to work hard at it. You got to be consistent doing it every day. So I'm trying my best to follow in his footsteps.
There's one
Hmm.
more question, if we can ask it really quick.
Yeah.
Should we be devising strategies to get people to our website from our social media, or should we use social media as a means to an end?
I mean, it all depends on what
Hmm.
what your goals are. If you're trying to land clients, I guess, yeah, send them to your website. With everywhere I'm now headed, I will definitely be trying to send people to my website. But a lot of times you're just trying to use social media to show your work because that's where they are. All the art directors now are young. They're in their late 20s and 30s, and they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, so go where they are.
Yeah.
And I have a suggestion on that is to what I do, I go on LinkedIn, I find the clients,
Mhm.
then I follow them. I have to engage them and get them to my Instagram. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, but you know, have to have your audience. You want your clients to see what you're posting.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to bring them there. You got to be a little active on that.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So, do we have any more questions?
Yes, we do. Should we, from the same person, should we be showing the same content on our social as our site? Or should we be purposely leave things out?
It's up to you. I mean, again, it's all about your goals and your ideas and what you want to be showing. Yeah. What do you think, Hugh?
Well, I think both, because you're going to have some audience like the young art directors or your young audience on Instagram, and other people will be looking at your website. I think balancing both is important, because you never know where people are going to find your work. There is one other question, the technical question. When Jeremy is taking the online photos, is he using an iPad taking screenshots?
No, I'm actually photographing the canvas. I mean, with a Canon 5DS 50 megapixel tethered to my MacBook Pro and the Capture One Pro. I'm actually taking pictures of these people who are being projected. The iPad is just creating a second layer of texture onto the canvas.
All right, so you go directly from your iPad or computer through the projector onto the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's awesome.
Wow. So impressive. I want to answer that website, Instagram images. I do think they can be the same, and they should have a same feel. It's like your Instagram is your not online, but your social media website, your portfolio. Your portfolio basically is both of them. But Insta Story, I see more as the personal, like become a human. People get to know you, they like you, and be as much as every day as you can. That's my thought. Authentic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great word. So we are out of time, but I have one more question for all of us, and it is more on the personal side. What do you see as the true purpose of your career?
No pressure.
No pressure. I can answer mine as you think.
Go for it, Andrew.
Okay. For me, it's really about staying authentic to myself and doing things like this that are sometimes out of my comfort zone, but feel really right. I know this voice in me that's like, do this. Okay. I got to listen to that, and I got to be myself and not be afraid to be as big of myself as possible and stand by what I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have the same thing going on here.
For me, it's always been stay true to my heart, but now I feel like I want my work to help humanity in some way, shape, or form. I want to give back in any way I can. So I like to teach also, and I like to share my techniques, what I do. I have no problem with that. But as far as the work is concerned, I really feel like I have these gifts and talents that I want to now help other people who are desperately in need. So that's what I'm aiming for right now.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, my ultimate goal is to explore the intersection of creativity and empathy. And so I hope that I'm always never sacrificing on the creative level, that I'm always like really being true to who I am as an artist, but I'm also doing things that hopefully help people or inspire people. And I have fun doing it all. Gosh, if I can keep doing all those things, then I'm a happy artist. And just hopefully I keep trying to innovate and explore and learn. That's my latest big thing is I gotta keep learning. I'm really happy when I'm learning new tricks and ideas, and learning fuels everything.
God, if I could sum up this entire webinar and say, please, people, this is what we got to learn, is to learn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what we do.
No.
No matter what type of photography or not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keep learning.
Push your boundaries a bit too, push yourself.
Put boundaries?
Push your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
This is like time of
that's that out of the box comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exploration and trial and error. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Testing. So important. Don't you guys agree? Like testing.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But again, like Andrea, as you and I have talked about, all my shoots are basically tests that I'm charging for. You know, like make
Yeah.
money while you test. There are people that will pay you still less than a client, but they'll still pay you into the test. I basically broke down my day rate. I realized that a lot of photo shoots will pay me on average $1,000 an hour for a creative fee. So if I do an all day shoot, that's $8,000. So I was like, well, what if I could shoot the guy down the street or the girl down the street and charge them $250 for 15 minutes? And then for those shoots, still $1,000 an hour, which is the same as my client rate. So then I launched that idea. And again, I did almost 1,000 photo shoots, 1,000 hours. That's a lot of money. And so I encourage people to like figure out how you can monetize even your explorations.
Mm,
Still keep
You are
bringing.
so inspiring.
totally.
So inspiring. Let's all learn from this today, me included. So we will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you both. Thank you very much for Jeremy. Thank you for doing this with us.
Of course.
Sharing yourself.
This is fun.
Yeah, you're awesome. Awesome. And thanks, Andrea, for partnering with APA LA on this series. And thank you, Jeremy, for joining us today. We're all about advocating for our industry and building a community of support and friendship. We're excited to have you a part of that.
Awesome.
Yes.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.
See y'all.
Bye, all.
Mhm.